10 News Conference continues with outgoing Bristol County Sheriff Tom Hodgson. Sheriff, thanks for coming in. Off the bat, let me thank you through the years. You've always been very accessible. Good times, good headlines, bad headlines. You've never ducked a question or a report. I want to commend you for that.
Well, thank you. And, you know, Gene, thank you and Channel 10 for the great work you all have done to get the messages out there about what goes on in government. It's we couldn't do it without you making sure people understand what's happening.
Well, we appreciate accessibility and somebody who answers the phone, whether it's a lousy story or a good story. And you've had, I think, some of both over your time. Would you agree with that?
I would.
All right. Now, is it a lousy story that you lost? What happened? What happened, Sheriff?
We still don't really know. We think that probably the money that poured in from New York, from Bloomberg sponsored sort of left-wing groups, as well as George Soros, they dumped about $500,000 into my opponent's campaign, and they did these massive mailings that were basically sort of propaganda hit pieces that just were being inundated in these communities time and time again, and really weren't based in fact. It was just, if you hadn't voted in 12 years, you see something like, hey, you go, well, I don't want somebody that mistreats inmates or runs a facility, but they weren't true. We weren't under federal investigation, none of that.
Well, politics is a rough game, and Attleboro Mayor Paul Hero ran a good campaign. And I didn't sense this animosity between you and him. Am I correct in that? I mean, he's a correctional guy too. Earlier in his career, then he went into politics. Square the two. Yeah,
I mean, I've never been a guy who believes that you attack each other. Although I felt like in this campaign, there were some things that the campaign did that weren't really, I think, fair.
Okay.
But that's as you said, that's what happens in the political world today, unfortunately. But I've always believed that you don't attack the individual. Look, you put out your best arguments about why you believe you should be the person. Let the people decide, and they have.
All right. Look, you were known as a very tough law and order man, and the stories followed you. You were tough on the inmates, and you did certain programs, and you got reelected time and time again. Now, Mayor Hero has kind of shaped himself as more of a cerebral administrator. He's going to wear a suit, not necessarily a uniform, unless it's a parade or an event. So he's shaped himself as kind of a different person than you. Did that sell with the voters? Did they grow tired with kind of the iron hand and the velvet glove? Tell me.
I don't think so. I mean, we lost by 1.2%. And I think that, look, there's a whole different way that elections happen today with mail-in voting and all the other things that are going on. But the people have spoken, and they'll make the determinations as to what they think is best for them. I don't think it was based on my law and order piece. I think everybody, whether you're a Democrat, Independent, Republican, everybody wants to be safe. They want their communities safe. They want their families safe. And as I said, we have built an organization, the staff have, an amazing culture. They're amongst the best in the nation, nationally accredited back-to-back at 100% over 6 years by the best in the business nationally, as well as our healthcare consistently getting nationally accredited. So I think we did the right things. The public's decision is the public's decision.
Do you think being close to President Trump hurt you? Because you didn't run away from him. You were down at the border. Everybody knows that. Did that hurt you, you think?
Well, you would hope not in America that people, look, the governor of Massachusetts and I have different opinions about things. We didn't agree on everything. But you know what? We didn't divide ourselves based on the fact that we had different views on certain things. We knew there were a lot of things we agreed on, and we moved those things forward for the people that we represented. So for me, I hope that wasn't the case, because President Trump did for the people of this county and for the sheriffs across this nation that would go to Washington with me and those who attended meetings with the president. He wanted to know from us so he could make sure the policies went directly back to the people, not through some politicians down there that were trying to get credit and water it down.
No, Charlie Baker's he's a different bird. He's on his own. He leaves office as the top governor in every survey after survey, yet he's a Republican. Other Republicans didn't do too well, though.
No.
In Rhode Island, you didn't do well. Is time up for Republicans? Do you need to change the message? What is it?
I think that we have to relook at how things are being done in the political realm. The landscape has changed. I think we have to do a better job at being very direct and pointing out the things that really aren't true, the things that people, we have to do a better job at messaging.
Okay.
But I think that all in all, I don't think it was really an indictment on Republicans. I think it's an indictment on the people of our country sort of being divided and not being able to come together and listen to each other and realize that you can have different points of view. You don't have to hate people. You don't have to take one side or the other. Look for the best people that can come together, listen, and create good solutions for you and your family.
Talk about this mail ballot early voting stuff, because in Rhode Island we had the party chair. She said Republicans like to vote day of.
Yeah.
traditionally. The Democrats got you beat though with the mail ballots. They've got a ground game.
Well, look, I have many people in our county that were telling us that we're getting 2 and 3 ballots. It's not a secure way to run an election. We need to have IDs when people go in and vote. I have a guy that told me he went to vote, and when he did, he called his father and said, "Make sure you go vote." His father said, "I'm not going. It's too late." And he said, "Just go to my precinct, get my ballot, give him my name, and you can vote." And he did. And this is going on, and it's going on. And when the mail-in ballots happen, if you get 3 ballots and you look at the voter list and see somebody that hasn't voted in 3 years, you go vote on their behalf, and then who's going to check it?
What you just said, that's illegal.
Yes,
correct?
it is.
Did you
Of course.
report that person? I hate this. I don't mean to have a gotcha question here. Did
No,
you report that person?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what precinct that person's in, and I don't know I know of the person that told me. I don't know the exact direct person, but the person that told me was a friend of this guy, and ultimately, in the end, he's got to be held accountable.
Right. As you leave, as you depart, are you concerned that you're turning it over to the guy who might be more liberal than you are, or maybe a little? But Mayor Hero really pushed back on this notion that he's going to be less tough on the inmates. He says, "I have a different approach. I'm going to wear a suit. I'm going to be more administrative. I'm going to make sure that they're not coming back." He went after you on recidivism rates. He said he didn't do enough about that. So as you leave, you get the last word here. Are you concerned about the way the jail is going to be turned over, the Bristol County lockup?
I don't think it's fair for me to judge that. I believe he has a right to go in and do what he believes is the best way to do it. Let the people decide, because they're the ones that put him there. I would just say this, that the assertion that we are dealing with recidivism, we have probably more programs, at least as many programs, if not more programs, than most sheriff's offices in the Commonwealth for the inmates. The idea that I'm tough on criminals, no. I'm honest, and I care about the people who are in there. It's not my job to punish them. My job is always to direct them to programs that are going to help them get on a trajectory that they never come back. So I hope he'll build on that and realize that what his perceptions were when he gets in there were not really the reality.
You don't mind punishing them, though. You made a name for yourself in cracking down, and you took things away, and you were going to charge them. I mean, you're in the papers a lot. Do you regret anything as you look back? We all have regrets. Or no, you got reelected time and again?
Not at all. I think the great failure were the people that were saying, just come here, lift weights, play cards, hang out, watch TV. Because those people that are sent there by the judges, those people came from places where their parents didn't give them that guidance. They needed to be able to understand, I can be more than this. Just sit around. If I was there and I came from that background, and you told me I could watch TV, lift weights, play cards, or I can go to an AA program, get my high school degree or equivalency, go to the CDL program and get your CDL license so you can go out and drive and make $60 grand a year when you get out. I'm going to watch TV, lift weights, and play cards, because that's what everybody basically did for me all my life since I was a kid, and never taught me that about responsibility and being successful. So that's not tough on crime. That's being honest and fair and doing actually what should be done for these people to help them get away from those old behaviors and be successful and know that they have potential to do something good.
Just a couple of footnotes before we let you go. You mentioned that it was a problem you said with this one person who told you a story about the ballot. You're not challenging the election. You're satisfied with the outcome. There's nothing that you say, oh.
People wanted me to do a recount. I said no.
Okay.
You know what? The people have spoken. I'm not going to do that. I think there's too much of that going on in this country right now. And I think we need to just look at what elections are. If they need to be fine-tuned and we can be more confident in them, let's do it. There's nothing wrong with that.
What's next for you?
Who knows?
You have grandchildren, you have family.
I do.
What's next? You want to keep working? Is there another?
Well, I don't have anything specific in mind at this point. I mean, there may be some people have talked to me about potentially continuing to build America's Sheriffs, which is what I started when I became when I became sheriff. And so I don't know yet. Who knows? Talk radio. I like talk radio. I
know somebody who doesn't. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You would certainly understand the enjoyment of that.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a plan yet. And of course, time with my grandkids and my children and my wife are going to be obviously an important thing as well. 25 years, second longest serving sheriff in Bristol County. Mm-hmm. The 23rd sheriff since the early 1800s. Yep. And actually the last longest serving sheriff was a Republican. It was Sheriff Dupree, and he served 29 years. I will be leaving at 25. So I'm blessed. I'm happy that I was given the opportunity. The people were kind to give me their trust all these years, mm-hmm. and I'm just grateful to my staff for the great work they've done.
All right. Bristol County Sheriff Tom Hodgson, thanks for coming in, and thanks for coming in through the years. It's always a pleasure to have someone who's been responsive. You certainly have been that.
Thank you. Thanks, Gene. Thank you.